Hey guys, Bennett Ring here, Editor-in-Chief of IGN Australia. We're at the gun store in Las Vegas, here to check out some of the guns that you'll see in Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. So we're inside the gun store with Jeremy Sayer. He's the armor smith and range master down here. He's going to be taking us through some of the weapons that are in Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. So what are some of these guns we're going to be firing, man?
We're going to be firing the M9 Beretta, which is the standard pistol. We also have the M16 and the AK-47. We're also going to be shooting the RPK and the M249 SAW.
Awesome. Let's hit the range and shoot some stuff. If there's a guy shooting at you from across a football field, you're probably better off throwing this gun at him than trying to shoot him with it. You only want to use the 92F when you're so close to that stinky Russian terrorist that you can smell the cheap Polish vodka on his breath. When I fired it at the range, I was lucky to hit the target, let alone shoot it accurately. However, it's a great gun for the geekier gamer. It's light enough for even the most exercise-deprived WoW player to pick up, and has about as much kick as a My Little Pony. In-game it's modelled very similarly. This is your backup weapon, only to be used when you don't have time to reload your primary, trying to bust the cap in some guy's butt from a range further than about 10 meters or 30 feet. This isn't an assault rifle, it's actually one of the laser guns stormtroopers use in Star Wars. You point this thing at something and that's where your bullets will go. Sure, the bullets are only the size of a grain of rice, but a grain of rice flying at the speed of light is enough to ruin your day. Seriously though, the M16 is the all-American high-tech answer to the primitive Russian AK-47. I'm pretty sure it's made of the same stuff as the space shuttle, well, probably. It's as accurate as a laser pointer, and undoubtedly costs more to develop than the entire moon landing program. Due to the low recoil, awesome sights, and handy foregrip, I had my most accurate results with the M16, and the in-game gun is just the same. Mine was modified to fire on full automatic, but in-game you're limited to 3-round bursts. This makes it more suitable for reaching out and touching long-range enemies. At close range, I recommend grabbing it by the barrel and swinging it like a club. That's how ineffective it is. When you absolutely, positively must kill every AI opponent in the room, well, provided the room is nice and small. The AK isn't renowned for its accuracy, but it is renowned for its reliability and stopping power. Sadly, our AK was modified to fire smaller bullets, so it didn't have quite as much kick as the real thing, but it did feel Russian in some way. Unlike the US guns, there's a brutish, primitive feeling to the AK. It's like the difference between a muscle car, the AK, and a Formula 1 car, the M16. They're both fun, but there's something about firing the AK that felt like you're being punched in the guts, slapped across the face, and loved every second of it. In the game, the AK-47 has much more recoil than the modified version I fired. This means it's awesome for clearing rooms and short distances. But if you get into a long-range firefight with it, you're probably better off turning it on yourself. The end result will be the same, so you may as well make it as quick and painless as possible. Still, with lots of practice and a decent scope, I can see the AK becoming an elite sniper's weapon of choice, as it's got the stopping power of a rhino on steroids. Remember the wood-panelled car in the Brady Bunch? That's what the RPK is. It's not just the lovingly crafted stock, made from some exotic rainforest somewhere in the world that's on the verge of extinction. It's the whole feel of the thing. Like the Bradymobile, this thing is chunky, fat and heavy, and it smashes through anything that gets in the way. Thanks to the bipod on the version I fired, it was actually surprisingly accurate. Provided, that is, that I didn't fire it on full auto, which is about 6 billion rounds a second. But there's no fun in semi-auto fire, so I squeezed off all my rounds as quickly as possible. Again, our version was modified to fire smaller rounds, so that probably accounts for its controllability. In the game, this is the godfather to the AK-47. Big bullets, terrible accuracy on full auto, and designed more for suppressing the enemy rather than making them bleed. But what I like best is the fact that it's nice and loud. Every time you squeeze that trigger, it sounds like a battery of howitzers going off. Apparently this gun costs around 200 grand, but it made me feel like $1 million. The SAW is the US Army's squad assault weapon. It's basically a light machine gun. It spits out lead faster than any gun I've fired, yet I still managed to keep most of the rounds within that piece of the target, commonly referred to as the face, which is exactly where bullets do the most damage. Firing this thing filled up the entire room with a wall of flame, hot casings bouncing off the walls, off our camera guy and covering the floor. Firing this is a sensation that every human being must experience. Infinity War has totally nailed the saw in the game, right down to the way that it sort of stutters when firing. It's not a smooth, regular rate of fire. Instead, the saw pumps out bullets when it feels like it, as fast as it can, trying to force out the next bullet before the previous one is detonated. This is the ultimate area denial weapon. Use it wisely to block off choke points, but be warned, it's a heavy mother. Only the strongest of warriors, like the IGN staff from Australia, should hold this bad boy for extended periods of time.